Brian Sutton Smith, who is maybe the greatest scholar of play in the 20th century, has written a book called The Ambiguity of Play, where he talks about different discourses or rhetorics, as he calls them, that kind of circulate around play. And he looks at very ancient ones, like the idea that play is about fate and the cast of die of the gods, that determines your destiny, to more contemporary ones. And the one that he says dominates today in today's sort of Western industrialized democracy culture is play as progress, that play is for children, and the purpose of play is to turn children into better adults. And for a very long time, and probably still, that's still our kind of gut instinct that we use when we think about play. That, right, if I'm actually playing for fun, it's sort of an indulgence. It's junk food. It's not nutritious food. It's something that I'm doing as a kind of dirty little secret. So as long as the overall cultural value is that, well, play is for children and it's good for them, but once you're a responsible adult, there's no reason to do it anymore because you're already a responsible adult. So you must not be a responsible adult if you're playing. So there's that kind of general cultural sort of aura around play and games. Now, that can also be good. I also think that's why play can be transgressive and naughty and bad and indulgent, right? That's okay that we're working in a field where what we're doing is something that lets us get in touch with our own sense of pleasure, which I think is a really healthy thing. But the negative result of that is that people that do love games, and especially those that have loved them for a long time, have often felt defensive because they have to kind of defend what they do as something which is sophisticated, as something which is worthy of serious attention, whether you're a game player, a critic or scholar or game creator. And I think that that it makes sense from a certain point of view that game creators can get defensive about what they do. Especially when you think about things like the violence debate. Are games violent? Are games not violent? There's a whole nother topic we could talk about. But I think that I would say that perhaps we're turning a corner. And I think that it's time, now that games are really starting to penetrate culture in a very pervasive way, that we can maybe start to become snobs about what we're doing. And that we don't have to defend games. We don't have to apologize for games. If you love books, really love literature, it doesn't make you want to defend every book ever written. It does the opposite. It actually makes you hate books more. It makes you want better books. It makes you want to, yell about how horrible books are and why aren't there better books. And I think that games should get into this kind of space where we are really snobs and we are demanding better games and more sophisticated games, and we're critical of games. So I would love to see a shift where people that play games and make games and love games feel licensed to be as critical as possible about them. And I certainly encourage my students to do that about their own work. And I often say that the highest form of respect that a designer can pay to another designer is thoughtful criticism. And so for me, being critical doesn't mean being negative. It actually is a way that we elevate the cultural form as a whole. So I would say it's important to be snobs and to hate games more in order to express our love for them and to make them better.